5, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Tamra Simon's Live, episode 5 of the Real Estate Power Chat. My guest today is none other than the social media queen herself, Gogo Bethke. I can't wait for you to hear her story and how she's building a real estate empire using social media. But, first things first.
This is Tamra Simon's Live, where real estate agents from around the globe come together to grow, collaborate, and expand their business. Where we take our inspiring conversations and put them together to create dynamic connections. This is the Real Estate Power Chat.
Welcome, Gogo.
Thank you for having me. Tamra, what's your Instagram?
It's Tamra Simons _real estate mentor.
Okay, because I have to tag you and all that work. and then we can go right into some more work. Absolutely. Okay, let's do this. I just tagged you. Rock and roll time.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I know that you are really, really busy. I mean, you've been bouncing back and forth. You built a house and from Michigan to Florida. But just so that my audience can kind of get to know you, why don't you just kind of give us a glimpse into Gogo's life?
Oh, gosh. So I'm a mom of 2 boys. They're 12 and 14. That's why I kind of give you a heads up before you hit that live button, right? That both of them have friends here. They spend the night. They're pretty much all 13, 14, 15, right? So my house is full with boys right now. So at any minute, they could be chasing each other in the background. So excuse me for that. Licensed since 2011 in the state of Michigan. I was with Real Estate One for 7.5 years, then Keller Williams for a hot minute, and then came to EXP 3.5 years ago. It was the best decision of my real estate career. It gave us financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom. It's all the freedoms, right? And which allows us now to live in Florida. So actually on the 19th, we are up in Michigan now, but on the 19th, we are packing up our half of our lives because we are keeping this house fully furnished and all that, but, clothes and whatnot, bikes and golf carts. And then we are driving south. We're going to name Florida as our homestead, and the boys are going to go to school there. So my life is literally in boxes. If you could see the house right here around me, it's full of boxes, right? So that's pretty much it. It's like we are trying to do work and fun and family at the same time.
I think that's the way life should be, right?
Yeah. More family and more fun than work.
Yes. I totally agree. So let's talk about how you actually became a real estate agent, how you actually got here, because that's quite a journey that you've made.
So I'm originally, if you hear it from my accent, I'm originally from Romania. I moved here when I was 21. My whole family is back home, so I don't have anyone here. I moved to Michigan as an au pair, a living nanny. And that was in 2003. I met my husband right away. We got married right away, pretty much within 4 months. 2 months moved in, 2 months we were married. Happily married for the last 19 years. Got licensed in 2011. So I did all kinds of jobs in between. Then I got licensed in 2011, and the rest I told you of. But the reason I got licensed, it wasn't even my idea. So at that time I was a stay-at-home mom. Even though I had a very nice, cushiony corporate America job, when our youngest was born, he got very sick. So I got let go, and it was kind of a blessing. So I can stay home with him and all that. But I stayed home probably for about 1.5 years. And then I realized that it's not for me. I need to get out. I need to talk to adults. I can't Google Gaga all day. I mean, the only lullaby I knew in English was the ABC. So my kids grew up. I put them to sleep on singing the ABC still every night.
I love it.
I just do the ABC because they could talk. So I realized it's not for me, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Being a mom is probably the best job I've ever had and ever will. It's just not full time. I like to do some other things along the lines of being a mom, right? So my neighbor at the time thought that I had a social media presence. So I had Facebook, right? And I was pretty active on it because that was the only way I can stay in touch with my family and friends from home. right? So then I can see everybody and see their kids and them getting married and all of vacations and all of that stuff. So I didn't feel like I was missing out. So I didn't have to be as homesick. So she thought I would make a great realtor. So she recommended me to go and speak with a company called Real Estate One. She was the marketing director for the in-house title company, Capital Title. And so it was her idea. And I was like, what a great idea. I was watching HGTV all day. So how hard can it be?
That's what HGTV all day. Hey, you got the
right. You show 3
houses. Get in there and tell the sellers you do not do this.
Yeah. You list their home, they just show up somehow. The money shows up in your bank account. Your buyers are always pre-approved and they can afford $1 million. You show them 3 houses, they buy 1.
Yeah. That's like selling the American dream. And unfortunately, it kind of goes on to consumers. They actually believe that that's the way it works.
Exactly. And then you get licensed and then you get a reality check. Like, where are all the clients that I saw on TV? Where do they come from? Right? Yeah.
But I think that's one misconception that people have coming into real estate, thinking that you just drop into this career and you get all of the bells and whistles and not realize that it's actually a business. You're actually an entrepreneur when you become an agent.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of work, right? And it's a lot of money. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money, which most agents don't have. It's a lot of education because the market changes so much, right? Not only that we have to do our CEs, of course, but on top of it, if I sold real estate how I sold it last year, right? It's already very different. It's different from last year, and it's very different from when I got licensed in 11. I used to fax offers and get hotkeys to show properties, right?
It's funny that you say fax, because I had someone say just the other day, well, can you fax me this? And I'm like, I don't even have a fax.
Like, honey, you're in 2022. What happened? Where are you?
It's like, you can fax it. And I was like, I don't even own a fax. Where
No,
do
I
you
cannot.
even fax things nowadays?
Exactly. No, I cannot. Like, literally, physically, I cannot.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
have any other options? Yeah.
I'm like, I can email it to you. I mean, I can scan that right from my phone, but fax, I have it was like a foreign word.
But that tells you that agent has probably been doing real estate for the last 20, 30 years. But it also tells you that they haven't really updated their systems in the last 20, 30 years.
Well, and I think that's something that we should touch on, because you have systems galore in place. I mean, whether it's in your EXP business or it's in, your regular real estate business, you have systems. Let's talk about how the importance of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm in the business of making money, right? And everybody comes into any type of job at first of trading time for money, right? So he's like, okay, I want to make this much money, which means I'm going to have to work 40 hours a week for it and drive an hour there and drive an hour back. And I have to buy my gas and I have to buy my clothes. And right. So there's like an expense of doing that. But, at the end, you're going to come out with this much money because that's what they're promising you, right? And out of that, you're going to have to pay health insurance and employment, all that other fun stuff. So then you're going to end up with so much. That's trading time for money. If you go and spend this much time and you trade your skills and effort in that period of time, then you're going to get paid this much money. Eventually, that's great. That's what probably 90% of the people do on earth, right? But if you have an entrepreneurial mind, you realize time is money. And how can I make more money with the same amount of time worked, right? And that's where leveraging comes in, and that's where systems come in, right? And I'm not big on ever removing work from a human being, right? But if there is something, the problem with human beings, there can be error. The problem with systems, of course, there can be error too, but just not as high of a percentage than it is with a human error, right? And so if there's something that can be automated, why not? Right? Why not automate it? If it's going to take me, let's say, an hour to automate a step that in the future just going to do it over and over and over and over and over again. And now I'm not going to have to use my time or have to pay somebody for that step that's just so monotone. It's the same freaking step over and over, right? That's where the systems come in. I'm also a believer that there are certain things that we're never going to be able to systematize, right? Like you can never systematize a personal relationship with someone. Like it's just not doable, right? So for that, you still have to have the face-to-faces and the lunches and the events and the customer appreciation and, all of those things that is going to put you physically in the same time and place with another human being whom services or, whom you're selling your services to or you have in the past. So my goal is always to try to make as much money as humanly possible with systems and human effort and skills in the same period of time, just because you cannot make more time. right? So I can clone myself and create a bunch of mini me's. I actually have a company for that. It's called We Clone You, comes from cloning, right? Even though I'm not, don't get me wrong, I do not like the actual meaning of cloning. I just like to create other people with similar skills than mine who can do the work than I used to be doing for less money. Does that make sense? What my hourly rate is worth now, right? So with that being said, if you can look at your job and or the tasks, not even jobs, right? Because we don't really have a job. We have a lot of different tasks that we have to do in order to have a business, right? So you can look at it. There's an exercise that I like to tell everyone to practice. It's called red light, green light exercise. I actually learned it from John Kitchens because I know you're a honey badger too, right?
Yes.
If I know correctly, yeah. So I learned it from John Kitchens, and I use it all the time. So you take a piece of paper and a clipboard, right? And you draw a line in the middle. And one side you put red light, and the other side you put green light. And you pretty much write down every step you take, everything that you do today, everything that you do tomorrow, everything you do the day after for 7 straight days, right? Red light means stop doing it right now because you can hire it out. Like red light, stop sign, right? Stop it, because yes, it has to get done, but somebody else can do it for you. And then the green light means I'm it. Like I can never hire it out. That is my job for the rest of my life. I might be able to have somebody help me with it in the background, but the face of it is going to have to be me, right? So like my social media account, it's never going to be a red light. I built a brand around me, which means it's going to have to be my face, my voice, my videos, my knowledge, my mind, right? That doesn't mean I have to edit the videos. It doesn't mean I have to post it, right? I just have to be the creative. Does that make sense? So there's still certain things, and even in the green light section, that portions of that can be hired out. So in the end of the week, in the red light section, you're going to have you can break it into 2 different things. One is going to be an in-person assistant. So your dog being walked, your dishes getting done, your kids dropped off at school, right? Those things, that's going to have to be an in-person assistant because my virtual assistant from Brazil cannot walk my dog. Makes sense. They can't take my kids to school. So those kind of things. So then you break it down into an in-person assistant, into a virtual assistant. And that's how you should start, by leveraging your time, is by creating a bunch of mini yous who then you can train. So they do the work the way you like to be done. Because that's the other thing. If you're branding something and you've been doing it in a certain way for so long, that's what your clientele, your customers get used to that. If you change that up, you're going to lose them. Right? But it's not, oh, that's not Gogo. Gogo wouldn't say that. So if I suddenly started typing in perfect English, because I make mistakes all the time, right? And when people correct me, I still don't change it because I feel like that wouldn't be me, that would be them. So when you look at my posts, right, there's things that sometimes I use the word that it's kind of, it sounds like it, but it means something totally different. Right? Because in my mind, English is my 3rd language. So I'm like, oh, that's close enough, right? Or I misspell words. Or like the then and then, right? Like I never know which is an en and which is an an. I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It sounds the same, right? Like those kind of things. If I changed it up, I would lose my clientele. So you have to stay true, right? If you hire someone into a position like that, they have to learn to talk like you would, right?
And so that you would say that.
Yeah, exactly. The way you would say it. So then you don't lose your clientele. And then that's pretty much it. And then as you're growing, you keep adding more people into, you keep doing the red light, green light exercise. Because now I have like 40 VAs, right? And granted, I also have 9 companies, right? So in different positions, right? So as we are growing, there's more things needed, more things getting added to my plate, which means more things have to be removed from my plate, which means I constantly have to do the red light, green light exercise. Because my days, what it looks like today, what it looked like 3 years ago when I had 2 companies, it's something totally different, right? So the red light, green light exercise applies to you as long as you are growing. The things on your calendar will change all the time, right? But like today, every Tuesday at 11, I do a podcast. So I'm not sure when you schedule this one, right? But I'm scheduled months and months and months out. So what happens is when I hired it out. So if I did the red light, green light exercise now, and I would say, oh shit, this is green light, right? I can't have somebody else show up to this podcast because you're going to be like, oh, okay, where's Gogo, right? So these are the things that as you're going through your day-to-day tasks, then you realize that certain things just cannot be removed from your plate, right? But if I had to have a presentation for this podcast, then I can say my team can create the presentation and I can talk all day long. I don't have to spend 2 hours putting it together in a slideshow, right? They just send it to me. I'll show up here. I go to my presentation. I call it a day. So there's certain things. And the more you do this exercise, the more you realize everything that's on your plate, the more you can be like, okay, I need a person for this, right? And then you compartmentalize those people. So Initially, I would strongly recommend just start out with an executive assistant and all the little things that you hate doing, or you suck at it, or it's just really not worth your time because it's not money-making activity. Those are the things you're going to put on that person's plate first. And as you're growing, right, and that person's plate is full too, now you can compartmentalize. Now you say, I really need a design person to to create all my flyers, to create all my PDFs, to create all my posts and my ads and my affiliate income. And, and then you might say, okay, now I have that person. But every time that person creates something for me, I'm getting all of these DMs and all of these questions and messages. I don't have the time to respond to it. So now I need to hire a social media manager whose full-time job is to literally respond to DMs. And if she doesn't know the answer to the DM, she asks me, but she types it up as it was me. Right? So she learned my lingo and she communicates on my behalf. So my accounts stay healthy because I can't possibly get back to 100,000 of you. Right? And Instagram is the only one that I personally answer. All my other accounts, if you email me, you DM me on any other platform like LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, you're not going to get me. You're going to get one of my VAs. So then you're going to move on. Okay, now I'm having all of this turmoil, right? All of these things that are coming in. I need to track it. I need to see which affiliate income is performing better, because it's stupid just to post it, right? We are posting with the idea that I'm going to make money. And of course, you want to make the most amount of money. So when you have multiple revenues of income, which you should, one of them should be affiliate income, which means every time you open your mouth about a service or a product, that company pays you anywhere from 10 to 20%, right? So now we have spreadsheets. Well, somebody has to fill those numbers in because I don't have time for that. I just want to look at the end result in the end of the month, right? So now I have to hire a numbers person. Right? So then it just goes on and on and on and on. And as you are growing, more and more people helping you to achieve the same goal that you used to do on your own when you were just a little one-man show.
That's brilliant. But I think that's something that gets lost. Agents don't realize, how to delegate. They think they have to have full control.
Mm-hmm. Because agents, they are salespeople, right? And I don't know if you do DISC assessments, but most of the time, the very good salespeople are very high D and I. So they're dominant personality, and it's my way or the highway, and they're the life of the party. Everybody knows their name, right? So with that being said, they also believe they can do it better. And I can. And the truth is I can, right? I wouldn't be what I'm at if I couldn't do circles around people. But the truth is you cannot grow, right? You cannot possibly grow if you don't delegate. You can't. It's impossible. So you are going to, I literally just posted a video, a reel. I'll show you this one very quick. So then it's actually my very last reel. So sorry, it's backwards here. So this one right there, it's my very last reel. If you go to Gogo's Real Estate, my very last reel, it talks exactly about that your head will be spinning. I'm constantly training people. Right. So I literally just came off of one of our leadership meetings in one of my companies. We are hiring 3 more people. So we have constant training in each of my companies. Somebody's always training. Right. So as long as you get used to it, that some people going to train, right, it's going to take time, which means it's going to take your time because you're going to have to explain it first. You're going to have to do it first for them to watch you. Then they're going to have to do it and you have to watch them to make sure they're going to write. And then they can do it on their own. Right. So it's going to take some time. But if you're a high D&I personality, I don't freaking have patience for this. And I just push the button. Would you? It doesn't buy. Just freaking push it. Right. But the problem is if you don't do that, if you don't take the time to train them properly and give them the right skills and right tools, they're never going to have the answers to the questions for the job that you're hiring them for. Right. So it's only painful for like the first month or 2. Then the light bulb goes off. They can do their job on your own. It is the most amazing feeling when they finally catch on. But it's constant training. So if you can get over that of like, I can do it better and faster, and I seriously can do it twice and take photos and post it before you even started up your computer, right? If you can get over that, the other side of the pain, right? It's very nice.
Well, and I think it relieves a lot of that stress because you're not constantly, trying to be every person in the process.
And then also as we are growing, right? So now when our team members get about 75% into their time, it's their job to start looking for not their replacement, but their assistants, right? So then this way they find them, they know the job best, right? So let's say it's Saeed, and Saeed is our numbers guy. And also he's our onboarding specialist. So let's say his calendar is 75% full. That means it's time. Even I usually tell him around 60%, right? Because we still need to find that person, train that person. And we don't want to wait until your calendar is 100% full to now start training someone, because you don't have time to start with, right?
Right.
Not only that, but then now we are waiting on his calendar to fill up, or open up, which means he's a week or two in training, and hopefully cross your fingers that he's going to get it, right? And then, so you always want to be ahead of the curve, number one. Number two, because it's going to require, so now I don't have to train anymore, right? Now, Saeed is trained in his job. He knows exactly who we need, right, for his assistant, and he's going to find them. He's going to train them. It's going to be his time and effort, not mine. And then the other good thing with that, you always want to have somebody else cross-trained in this job. The reason why is because what if Saeed has to go on vacation? What if Saeed gets sick? What if Saeed decides to quit, right? Now I have to have somebody who can pick up where Saeed left off. So you should always, 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 for every position, have somebody else cross-trained.
That's great advice. Now, going from systems to social media, and taking...
Well, it's actually, you go from social media to systems.
Yeah,
eventually, right? Now you don't need systems until you have the flow of people. Yes.
So agents that are out there that are wanting to get their Instagram, and they're wanting to figure out how to get a lead source from their social media platforms, what's some, good advice that you could give them to do so?
Yeah, I mean, people work with people, right? So the more you put yourself out there, the more they get to know you, the more you earn their trust over time, and they wouldn't think of anybody else but you when they have any real estate needs, right? So when we are talking leads, my leads are not like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not like I log into a CRM program and suddenly there's 100 of them, right? They might DM me. I might see them at a party and they're like, oh my gosh, Gogo, I've been watching you for so long. You know what? I think it's time for us to sell. Like, I think we just got bored with this house. Like, can you stop by one of these days, right? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. So you have to think of it. It's not like you're going to make one post and then your CRM program is suddenly full with leads, right? You make posts and you don't know how they're going to come. They might come on LinkedIn. They might come on as a personal text message. They might DM you on Facebook, right? They might just respond in the bottom of the post. You never know how they are going to come. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a CRM program, and I strongly recommend to use KV Core because it has a lead capturing ability. So every time we post with KV Core, I know exactly who's looking at it because it's going to capture your information. It's going to allow you to see my post, the first 3 photos of my open house list or the newest listing we have or whatever we are posting today, right? It's going to allow you to see the first 3 photos of that specific listing, and it's going to ask you very kindly to log in with Facebook. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm not giving you my name and email address. I'm just going to log in with Facebook, right? But guess what? You gave Facebook your name and email address, and most of even your cell phone number. And Facebook is so kind and shares it with us. So within 24 hours, I know everything about you, right? So that's the beauty of the social media marketing is as long as you can post the link, which Instagram doesn't allow you to post the link directly on your feed, but it allows you to post it in your stories. So what I do is I make my post, I'll share that post to my stories, and there I can send you the direct link, right? And then I can guide you off of that site to wherever I want you to go, which is the direct link to KV Core. On Facebook, on LinkedIn, on your personal Facebook, and emails and text messages, you can send them to a direct link. So your job is always to generate traffic to a site. What I want you to do, right? So today, if we have, let's say it's a Thursday and we are marketing one of our listings that the open house is, released, then today I'm going to market you for the open house, right? So now I'm taking you off of Instagram or LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'm taking you over to my site where I'm marketing you the idea of the open house for this weekend with the idea that maybe you're interested, maybe you're not, maybe you know somebody who is, and then you're going to share it with that person, right? So my job is always to generate you off of one plate or one platform to another website, then I want you to go, right? So when you see in my stories on Instagram, then I'm talking about Andersons, let's say. They are my board of directors, they're my title company and asset planners and bookkeepers and you name it, right? Now I'm taking you off of Instagram, telling you about who I use for my business structure, right? And I'm showing you where they at. And then when you sign up and you use their services, that company is going to pay me so-said affiliate income, which is kind of like marketing income, right? I'm using my database to market you a service, and in return, that company is going to pay me for my people, right? So that's what it's called, affiliate income. So you can make money in multiple different ways. You can make affiliate income, you can make referrals, and this is where most agents go wrong, is they don't realize that they're like, well, but I'm licensed in Michigan, so why would I market to people in California? Because you have a license. That means it's one phone call and it's 25% of somebody else's commission. Yeah. Especially if they're in California, average commission is 30 grand. Yeah. A quarter of that all. I'll make a phone call for $7,500 all day long.
Yeah.
We can. Right? So there is that. So number one is your own commission. Number two is referral. Number three is affiliate income. And number four, now you can do reels, and in Instagram and Facebook and stuff is going to pay you for your reels, right? You're not going to get loaded on that. It's like $100 a month, but it's your Starbucks money, right? So there's so many different ways how you can do social media, and you just need to understand all of the platforms, and you need to start slow. You can't compare yourself to somebody who's been doing this for 11 years and you just started today and you don't even know what the name of your business is going to be. Right? Like you can't. Rome wasn't built in a day. So what you want to do is constantly be curious, constantly push those buttons, see what happens when you push it, right? Because Instagram is not what it was 11 years ago when I got on it. There was no reels, there was no lives, there was no stories. It was just a feed, right? We couldn't do links. Now we can do links, right? So learn all of the platforms, learn when you can use the link, and then use the links where you can actually capture information. Nothing pisses me off more when I see agents using like their MLS link or their Zillow link. I'm like, you're posting to post. You're never going to capture that information, especially if it's a Zillow link. You just fed that client to Zillow and they're going to go feed it to another agent who pays for those leads. Like, don't be stupid. Like, if you're doing this, don't waste your time. Learn how you are doing it and how to do it properly so these leads are actually coming back to you, right? And that would be like a KV Core. If they're not EXP and they don't get it, I don't know what KV Core charges monthly. I don't know if there's other platforms that have a lead capturing ability, but that's the most important. You don't want just a CRM program where you manually have to enter in your clients, right? You want to have the ability to capture who's looking at your posts, right? And then have a very good follow-up plan. Because what's the point of capturing them if they're going to sit in your database for 5 months and 5 months later you're like, oh, I saw that you were looking at 123 Main Street. Yeah, sold 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that would be stupid too. So these are like the basics, right? Figure out all the platforms, where do you fit in, because they're all very different from one another, right? Like LinkedIn is the more prim and proper. I call it the HR department of social media, right? So if you ever had a real job and HR would approve your post, you go post it on LinkedIn, right? On Instagram, you can be on the beach in your bathing suit. It doesn't matter. Instagram it's for all kinds of people, right? Facebook is kind of in the middle. You don't want to be too prim and proper and boring, but you also cannot be in your bathing suit with most are talking about real estate investments, right? Because it just doesn't really fit in.
Now, when you're posting, because I know I see most of your posts on Instagram.
Because that's where you follow me, but that same post goes over to Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's where you follow me.
Yeah. That's where I usually see you. And I know that you share your life as well as real estate.
Yeah.
Now, is there a balance that you use? Like, so much life, so much business? I mean,
well, you want to. People in average are on the market every 7 years for about 6 months, which means I have to entertain you for 6.5 years. It's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. I don't know if you read this article a few years ago that people in average do not remember so what did they say? In 2 years, 80% of your past clients don't remember your name, which means every 10 closing, 8 of them in 2 years don't remember you. And that's because most realtors don't stay in front of them. Most realtors, close that one and to the next one, right? Versus realizing that if you stayed in front of them, just a referral business, how much would that? Then they would come back to you. Then you don't have to go spend advertising dollars because they know your name, right? The only thing, and by the way, most of my advertising, not most, all of my advertising on the real estate side of things is organic. I never run an ad. If you ever see my ads, that's for my boot camps, which is a totally other business, right? So I have a social media boot camp. I have an agent attraction boot camp. I have a transaction coordination company and a VA company, a virtual assisting company. If you see me, I'm probably running an ad for one of those 4 companies. But for my local team, when it comes to real estate, which is Gogo's real estate team, when it comes to actual real estate deals and transactions, we do not run ads. Everything we do, we generate it organically. So that's what I'm teaching you, is how to build a brand where people come to you so you don't have to spend advertising dollars, right? So now with that being said, as long as you figure out those platforms, as long as you figure out how you fit in that platform. So for example, if you follow me on Instagram, right? If you look at my feed, so the feed is when you go to someone's profile and you see all of their pictures and videos, that's their feed. Those stay on there for as long as the person leaves it up there, okay? How often do you see my kids in there? Never. Right? How often do you see my lunch in there? Never. How often do you see my dog in there? Never. Right? Because that is my storefront. So my feed is my storefront, and I take my job very seriously. Also in my bio, do you see that I love to travel and I'm, from Romania and a mom of 2 and I have a bulldog? No, you don't see that, because that has nothing to do with real estate. Of course, I'm a human and I have all of those things, right? But that's not the point. When you come to my Gogo's real estate page, I want you to know that I'm in real estate 100% of the time, and that's all I do. That is my job, right? And I take my job seriously. So if you don't take your business seriously, the people are not going to take your business seriously. So if you have your religion on there and you talk about your children and how you're a great cook and you're all organic and your kids are not vaccinated, right? Like, that has nothing to do with real estate. You just lost me. That tells me that you have all this extra time, which to me means you don't have time for real estate to start with. Right? So if real estate is how you want to get and make your money, then you have to have real estate in your bio and real estate in your feed. Now, stories is where you allow people to get to know you. Stories is when you go to someone's profile, you click their icon, the picture, right? That round picture, it's going to take you into their stories. Now, stories is where you really allow people to get to know you. Those stories are only up there for 24 hours, one day, right? So yesterday, at what I posted at 11 o'clock yesterday is not up there anymore because it's 11:30, right? So it stayed up there for 24 hours and poof, then it's gone. Now, that's where you can be silly. That's where you can show your true personality. That's where you show your kids and what you cooked for dinner and what is a day in your life like, right? What did you do for July 4th? Those kind of things. So you get to know people and they get to know you, most importantly, because people will work with you, let's say, because you love bulldogs and they love bulldogs, because you're a foreigner and they're a foreigner, because you're a mom of boys and they're a mom of boys, because I have a type 1 diabetic son and they have a type 1 diabetic son, right? Because that's where they got to know about me personally on my personal level, which will allow them to be like, she's kind of a cool chick, right? So the next time when they need real estate or have real estate needs, they'll come to me, right? On my feed is a business, is my storefront. I take it seriously. In my stories, of course, you're going to see business too, but you're also going to get to know me as a person. And that's most agents don't do that. Most agents are supposed to just listed, just sold, and there's nothing in their story. So I don't know who you are. I don't know your hustle. I don't know what you stand for. I don't know your work ethic. Mm-hmm. You don't give me a reason to like you because I don't know anything about you. I just see just listed, just sold, and a freaking key with your clients. Geez, we could sold another one, right? I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You are just another realtor out of the other million who's doing the same thing.
Flyers. You don't actually see an agent. You'll see the flyers of the open house with just a picture, but there's no interaction with that person. So there's no way to know them.
No, I have no relationship with you whatsoever. So I have no reason to work with you.
So going from that, what are your top 5 tips to an agent in this new shifting market? Because our market is now starting to shift. We're still in multiple offers here in Utah, but I see the market shifting.
Yeah. I don't know, I might be a little oddball out, right? But I'm actually more scared of having the same exact year over and over and over again and selling real estate the same way 10 years from now, how we sold it 10 years ago. Because if I wanted to have a boring job, then I walk into a cubicle and I do the same thing every day and I clock in at 9, I clock in at 5, I would have freaking won and got a job.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not what I want to do. I want excitement. I want something new. So I love the fact that in real estate, I've never sold the same house twice. Well, sometimes you do, right? Sometimes they come back and you sold it to them. Now you're going to sell it to somebody else. You're going to buy a new. So it's like goes on and on. But it's most of the time, it's not the same people. It's not the same house. It's not the same financial situation. It's not the same market. It's not the same vendors. It's not the same lender and title company appraiser and all of that you're working with. So it's always changing. That's what I love about this job. And I'm never having 2 days of the same, right? So I love change. I think where the market shifting becomes scary to people is the people that like to have a monotone life, the people that do the same thing every single 9 o'clock. They wake up and they lead generate until 11, and then the 11 they have a 20-minute lunch break, and then they go and have a client meeting, and then they go show houses in the afternoon. For those people, it's going to be a shift because you might not need the afternoon to show houses. I don't know where the heck it's going, right? But I can tell you, for me, the way I look at real estate is that as long as you stay educated. And I think that's where the scary part comes in for most agents. If they've been so busy doing, right? They didn't stay on top of the market. They didn't have what's called mortgage minutes. Every Wednesday in our team meeting, we started with what we call mortgage minutes, and we learn about what's going on in the industry, what's going on with mortgage rates, because that kind of dictates of the buyer's pool and yada, yada. And that dictates the multiple bidding on your listing side. And it's a never ending, right? So as long as you stay in it and you stay educated, right? And as long as you're flexible, meaning I look at real estate as you're sailing. The wind is always blowing. The question is which direction, right? There's always a seller's market or a buyer's market, because last I checked, everybody has to live somewhere, right? So no matter how bad the markets were, I actually got into real estate at 2011, the tail end of the foreclosures and short sales. That's all we did. But we still sold a shit ton of real estate. It was just foreclosures and short sales. And instead of dealing with the client, I dealt with the bank, right? But as long as you stay on top of it, you'll be just fine. Same with technology. Even if we have an amazing market, if you don't stay on top of technology, you're not going to have your systems, right? A brand new agent is going to beat you every day.
Yep.
You're going to become a dinosaur, right? So as long as you love change, I love change, right? So as long as you love change and you learn something new every day, you stay on top of the change, you'll be fine no matter what direction you're going.
I love that. Because I know I got in 2005. So I went through that whole that whole market. And it was interesting because I was an appraiser before I was an agent. And I left being an appraiser at that right time because I joined and became an agent in 05. And then I was loving life. And then it was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. But you figured it out and you're still here.
It was like it was sink or swim. And I happened to like my lifestyle. So I was swimming. And,
exactly.
I also learned that was a huge lesson because numbers became my thing. Knowing exactly what my market numbers were. So as soon as someone asked me, it was like, it wasn't even a thought. It was just right there. And so when I talk with agents, that's a big thing for me is know your damn numbers. I mean, if you don't know your market, then what are you doing?
Yeah. So I literally a couple nights ago, I went online. I'm like, okay, what does it actually look like in numbers, right? Because I know the market is going to shift, but there was not one time in history when people didn't have to live somewhere, right? No matter how shitty it was, if it's the worst time ever, maybe they are selling because they can afford the house, but then it's buyer's market, right? And then it comes around and it's seller's market. It's always somebody's market. But I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I just want to see it in numbers, right? So I looked at the interest rates from the year that I was born, which by the way, the year that I was born, interest rates were 18%. 18%. People still bought homes, so no worries. We are fine. They're gonna buy homes because what are you gonna do? You're gonna be like, oh no, that's okay. I'll have a credit card at 24%, but I'm not gonna buy a house at 6%. So I'm just gonna live on the streets with my kids. Like, no, nobody freaking in the right mind is gonna do that, right? Not only that, but hold on a minute. So you were willing to pay $100,000 over just a month ago, but now you're not going to pay 2% more, and you no longer have to pay the $100,000 over. That 2% more, depending, of course, what the price ranges of the home that you're buying, that $100,000 that you would have prepaid, that's probably at least 10, 15 years of your 2%. You're fine, honey. You're fine. It's just math. It's just numbers, right? But I looked at the homes sold, right, in the last. I think it was since 2008 whatever screen. I can't think of what it's called. Picture, right? So since 2008 to now, in average, we sold anywhere from 4.5 million homes in the US to 6.5 million homes in the US, which means to me there's a 33% difference, right? So let's say if you sold 10 homes in a month at your highest, the worst, if you keep doing what you've been doing, right, it's going to be 7.
Yeah.
You're going to lose about 30% of your transaction. But that's the worst case scenario. I'm talking 2008.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, right? The way I look at it, in the last few years, we had a lot of accidental agents. Agents that got in at the high and it was like it fell out of their lap. The house sold itself. They made commission. They were like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. You're going to lose a lot of those agents because those agents don't know how to fish. They never had to learn how to fish for themselves, right? So now they're going to have the same amount of transactions on the market and less agents to do it. So the good, solid agents, in my opinion, they're going to do more business than they did the last few years.
Yeah. Well, and that's also the ones that hang in there. They didn't come in with this, this is the get rich scheme. And it's like, no, you have to work your ass off if you want to make any money in this business.
Exactly. So I think us solid agents, we have nothing to worry about. We're just going to have to do it a little different, right? But as long as you're willing to adjust, Like we always had to adjust, right? As you said, like, what do you mean fax? Yeah, I used to 10 years ago and I don't have a fax machine anymore. I changed with the times. You should change too. It's 2022, right? As long as you're willing to change, this business, an amazing opportunity will last us as long as we live, and then our children's life, because people always have to live somewhere.
Absolutely. I bought my first house at 12% interest. And that was, that was a good interest rate at the time,
Yeah.
And so anytime I hear, oh, it's 6%, and I'm like, well, I bought my first house at 12. So
Exactly. But I'd rather pay 2% higher interest rate and then refinance in 5 years, right? Than to give 100,000 extra in multiple bidding situation.
Yeah.
Because then I take my 100,000, invested somewhere else, not the stock market right now. That's another conversation. I would invest it somewhere else, go buy another house with it. Right. So yeah, it's just, and also don't watch the news.
Yeah. The media is the worst. It's all hype.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
hype.
the news. That thing behind me, that black box on the wall right there, it's a black box. It's there for decoration, right? I don't see my mind with whatever they want me to see, right? I choose what I see.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a TV person. I'm a book person. So I rarely watch television. And then usually if I do, if it's not action packed, I'm asleep.
I love documentaries, so I'll watch any kind of documentary, and my husband's ready to cut his veins when he sees me like grab the channel changer. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna watch now, right? So if you're watching TV together, then I also watch some sort of a like action movie, Homeland Security, something along those lines, right? If I'm by myself, then it's, you can put your head down, it's a documentary. That's like my me time. But never cable TV. I very, very, very seldom turn the news on. You know when I do? And it's kind of funny, is on an airplane. I do travel a lot, and it's usually not my channel. I never put the news on, but usually the people next to me have the news on. And then I just like look over and be like, oh, you're watching Fox and you're watching CNN. I see who I can be friends with. And then I just kind of watch the news for a split second, right? On either side. And then I call it a day. That's usually how far I get into the news. It's whenever I travel.
Yeah, I don't blame you there at all. I've learned in the 17 years in real estate to choose mindset over the crap that's out there.
Absolutely.
And because I'm a John Maxwell certified coach also. So I do that. So
okay, hold on. Let me see if that's the guy. Then I love his voice. I think that's him. Let me see. I'm awful with names. Yes. I could listen to him all day long.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
You are certified by him? That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so, mindset, leadership, those are my thing, which is why I try to interview people that are making a difference. And you've kind of changed that path in real estate and give people a different way to look at how to do real estate, as well as not just real estate itself, but the agent attraction aspect as well, which, really just sucks me right in.
That's awesome. So are you our student, agent attraction student?
I am.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for having me here, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so grateful, and I don't want to take up more of your time because I know you're a busy lady. But I'm gonna let you go. But give them one more tip on social media, and then we'll call it a day.
I think the social media tip is that as long as you stay true to yourself, you're going to find your people, right? And as Brent Gove says it, I'm looking for the people who are looking for me. And when you get the privilege to work with the people who are just like you, you're never going to have an asshole client again. Never. I used to be in the business where I will put up with anyone for 12 grand. I used to look at people, $9,000, I'll be your best friend. $12,000, 90 days, I'll be your best friend, right? Like I used to look at it as like, for a commission, I can put up with anyone, right? But the goal is, and the idea is, at least for me now, then I only really want to work with people who deserve this time of my life, right? Because if you think about it, when you give someone an hour of your time, that's an hour of your life
that you can't get back.
And then what is that worth, right? So to me, it's like, allow people to truly get to know you. If you decide that you want to do social media, you cannot be a secret agent. You can't do those flyers and those keys holding up that you just sold something. Nobody cares. right? Nobody, if you go to my profile, like how often do you actually see a house in there that I just sold? Very, very, very seldom, very seldom. If you go down maybe 2 years, you're going to find one, right? I always use Ryan Serhan, his account, to go to his account, see when you see a house on there. Never. I mean, you're going to go down pages and pages and pages and pages, and it's Ryan. Just another picture of Ryan, right? So the faster you learn that the brand you are building, it's about you. People work with you. Any other realtor can sell a house. 1.6 million of us in this country. Why on earth they should work with you? That's what we are selling on social media. I'm not selling houses. I'm selling myself and my services. My job is to make sure that you know my name and you know what I do for a living. So the next time you're thinking about anything real estate, you're going to be like, that's right, that Gogo chick, that Gogo chick, right? I just need you to remember that. That's all I need you to remember, Gogo. And then you can Google me on any platform. You're going to find me in a trillion different ways, right? So that's the most important, is to, if you decide to do social media, you have to be okay with putting yourself out there. And if you're the type of person, well, Gogo, but I'm so private. Well, guess what? I'm so private too. You only see things about me that I allow you to see. If I don't want to put that thing out there, I'm not going to put it out there. I only allow you to see as much as I feel comfortable with. And that's in my control. So when you do social media, it's in your control. And that's it. Build a brand. There you go. Sell whatever you want.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking all of this time out of your day to visit with me and to share all of this wisdom that you have. So
thank you so much, Tamra. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We will definitely have to do this again. So, and I look forward to meeting you at some point at one of these events. So
I'm usually at the big ones. I mean, I'm usually at 90% of the events, almost every event by Brent Gove and the Shareholder Summit and EXPCon. I'm usually always there.
Well, I will look forward to finding you. I will search you out the next time I'm there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.